As the war widens in West Asia, Iran has released fresh visuals of its missile attack on Israel, the U.S. bases and Gulf countries.
I think when you look at these Iranian missile and drone attacks, it's easy to think that it is sort of random.
So now we have low-cost interceptors effectively combating Iranian drones.
05:17 hours, northern Arabian Sea. The water is glass. Pink light is just beginning to bleed across the eastern horizon. A single Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyer cuts a quiet white line through the pre-dawn calm. Her crew cycling through morning watch, her systems running their endless automated scans, her nuclear-powered battle group nowhere in sight. Just one ship, a destroyer on solo patrol, alone. But in 12 minutes, this sky, this quiet, beautiful, empty sky, transforms into the most concentrated drone assault ever launched against a single United States warship. 67 Iranian Shahed kamikaze drones inbound, every single one aimed at her. The predators are already in the air. What Iran doesn't know is that this particular ship just became the most dangerous prey they have ever stalked. This is the story of 9 minutes that changed naval warfare forever. Know this ship before the fight begins. The USS Preble, DDG-88, is an Arleigh Burke-class Flight 2A guided missile destroyer. 509 feet of frontline American war power. She carries 96 VLS cells loaded with a layered arsenal, standard missiles, Tomahawks, ESSM quad packs. Her CRAM system mounts 11 RIM-116 rolling airframe missiles, self-contained, autonomous, designed to engage high-speed anti-ship threats without requiring a fire control order from the bridge. Her Phalanx CIWS, the Mark 15 Block 1B, rotates on its mount with 20mm tungsten rounds loaded, 3,000 per minute capacity, the last wall between incoming steel and this ship's hull. But the Preble has something no previous destroyer in naval history has carried into a real combat engagement. Mounted forward of her bridge, a matte gray cylinder about the size of a large shipping container, the HELIOS system. High-energy laser with integrated optical dazzler and surveillance. A 60-kilowatt directed energy weapon. When it fires, there is no recoil, no sound, no visible beam unless the humidity is high enough to scatter light. There is only a target that was there a second ago and is not there anymore. And unlike every other weapon on this ship, HELIOS does not run out of ammunition. As long as the Preble's engines are running, the laser can fire, indefinitely. The Preble's crew knows what HELIOS can do. They have trained with it exhaustively. In a classified 2025 test off Point Magoo, HELIOS destroyed 4 target drones in sequence without a single miss. Engagement time per target averaging under 4 seconds. That number matters in 9 minutes. It matters enormously. But we'll get to that. Understand that Iran's planners don't know about HELIOS. Not the real operational version, not on a solo destroyer, not in this engagement envelope, and that ignorance is the crack in the entire foundation of their strategy. The Iranian Shahed is Iran's answer to American naval dominance, a converted 240-meter container vessel commissioned by the IRGC Navy in early 2026 as a mobile drone carrier, a floating launch platform for swarms of Shahed series loitering munitions that can be deployed from outside the range of conventional naval defense. The doctrine is brutally simple and economically devastating in its logic. Each Shahed 136 drone costs between $20,000 and $50,000 to build. Each RIM-116 RAM missile that shoots one down costs approximately $900,000. Each ESSM interceptor costs over $1.5 million. And Arleigh Burke's full CRAM magazine holds 11 missiles. Run the math. 67 drones at $50,000 each equals $3.35 million. 11 CRAM missiles to stop them equals $9.9 million. And that's before the ship runs dry. Iran's swarm doctrine was born from this arithmetic. The calculation that drove the Shahed Bagheri's entire mission concept is magazine exhaustion. You don't need to outgun an American destroyer, you need to outlast her finite ammunition supply. Send enough cheap drones and the most expensive warship in the world becomes a sitting target after its missiles run out. The IRGC commanders have run this model hundreds of times. In their simulations, a 67-drone salvo against a solo destroyer forces magazine depletion before the final wave. 12 to 15 drones survive to impact. That's enough to put a destroyer on the bottom of the Arabian Sea. They have studied the Preble's publicly available weapons loadout. They have calculated her intercept rates. They believe, with genuine confidence built on accurate historical data, that this engagement ends with an American warship sinking before 0530. Their model is not wrong. It's just 4 years out of date. Here's the doctrine failure that makes this engagement a hunt instead of an ambush. The entire magazine exhaustion theory assumes that every drone kill requires a guided missile. That assumption was valid for every Arleigh Burke before 2022. It became catastrophically invalid the moment HELIOS achieved operational readiness. Because a 60-kilowatt laser doesn't cost $900,000 per shot, it costs approximately, depending on how you calculate electrical generation, somewhere between $1 and $9 per kill in direct energy expenditure, not per engagement, per drone. $1 against a $20,000 target. The predator stalking the Preble has built its entire hunting strategy around a prey that no longer exists. The Iran that designed this mission is hunting a 2020-era destroyer. The ship sitting in the water 12 minutes from now is something they have never faced, something their simulations never modeled, something that does not run out. 05-1743. The Preble's AN-SPY 1D radar acquires the first cluster. Not one return, not 5. A spreading constellation of slow-moving, low-altitude contacts bearing northwest, range 38 nautical miles. The automated track system counts 12, 20, 31, 48, 63, 67, 67 confirmed tracks, all subsonic. The Shahed 136's cruising speed of approximately 115 miles per hour makes them slow by missile standards, but difficult to engage efficiently with large interceptors not designed for such targets. General quarters sounds. Every station manned in under 70 seconds. The combat systems officer calls the engagement in a voice that is level, precise, and fast. There is no panic in that combat information center. There is calculation. The HELIOS operator brings the system online, targeting queue building, track data flowing. The C-RAM's automated acquisition radar locks onto the leading edge of the swarm. The phalanx swings to its ready sector. You are on this ship right now. 67 objects are moving toward you across that quiet pink sea. Some of them carry 40-kilogram warheads. Every single one wants to find your hull. The ship is trained for this. The crew has trained for this. The technology on this ship was built for this exact moment. The engagement begins at 05-1908. 67 drones. 9 minutes. Let's go. The HELIOS fires FI. No thunder. No flash. The drone at the leading edge of the swarm, 8,400 meters out, closing at 185 feet per second, simply stops being a drone. The laser dwells on its airframe for 3.7 seconds, heating the delta wing composite skin past its structural threshold, burning through the electronics bay, and detonating the 40-kilogram warhead at a safe distance in a small orange puff that disappears in the sea wind. One down. The system slews to the next target automatically. 3 seconds. Next drone. Gone. 3 seconds. Next. Gone. The HELIOS is not dramatic. It is mechanical, relentless. It does not waver. It does not miss. It does not reload. It simply hunts, one target after another, at a pace that Iran's swarm doctrine never modeled as possible. By the time the C-RAM fires its first RIM 116 at a faster maneuvering drone on the northern arc, a second and a half of motor burn, infrared-guided, direct hit, the HELIOS has already eliminated 11 drones. 11 in 43 seconds. The swarm is thinning but still coming. 31 drones still closing at the 4-minute mark. The C-RAM fires in disciplined bursts. Not every drone needs an expensive missile. The laser handles the slower central wave. The RAM missiles take the angular threats that require faster engagement geometry. A coordinated kill chain that no single weapon system could maintain alone. The Preble is not under siege. She is conducting an extermination. 6 minutes in, the drone count reaching the inner defensive ring, inside 4,000 meters, has fallen to 9. 9 survivors from 67 launched. The C-RAM engages 4 in rapid sequence. The HELIOS takes 2 more. 3 drones break through to the phalanx engagement zone. Inside 1,500 meters, the final wall. The M61A1 6-barrel Gatling cannon opens up, 3,000 rounds per minute of 20mm tungsten, and 2 drones disintegrate in sprays of composite fragments and aviation fuel. The third, the last, impacts the Preble's starboard side just above the waterline. The explosion is real. A 2-foot breach in the outer hull plating. 4 sailors are thrown off their feet. None are killed. The fire suppression system activates in 11 seconds. The breach is above the waterline. The Preble is still hunting. At 05:28:04, 9 minutes and 56 seconds from first HELIOS engagement, the 67th and final drone is either destroyed or has impacted. The sky is clear, the Arabian Sea is scattered with smoking debris fields, and the USS Preble, with 1 minor hull breach and 4 sailors with non-critical injuries, turns her bow toward the northwest, because the engagement isn't over. The prey just became the predator. And somewhere out there, the Iranian Shahed, the ship that launched 67 drones at 1 American destroyer, is still floating. Not for long. The counterattack takes 7 minutes to authorize and 43 minutes to arrive. The Preble's targeting systems, fed by satellite intelligence that has been tracking the Shahed since before the attack began, have 2 Tomahawk Block 5 land attack cruise missiles pre-plotted on launch coordinates. The VLS cells open. 2 Tomahawks leave the ship trailing white smoke, climbing and then leveling into their low-altitude cruise flight profile, 550 miles per hour, GPS and DSMAC terrain following guidance. Sea skimming at 100 feet. The Shahed is a 240-meter converted container ship. She is not armored. She carries no meaningful air defense. Her operators see the Tomahawks on radar with approximately 3 minutes of warning. Not enough time to maneuver a ship that size. Not enough time to deploy any credible countermeasure. The first Tomahawk impacts amidships, penetrating the drone storage and maintenance deck before its 1,000-pound warhead detonates. The secondary explosions from the remaining drone fuel and munition stores are visible on satellite imagery as a column of black smoke rising 4,000 feet above the Gulf. The second Tomahawk finds the bridge structure 14 seconds later. The Arabian Shahed, Iran's revolutionary drone carrier, the centerpiece of its asymmetric naval doctrine, the ship that was supposed to exhaust an American destroyer's magazine, sinks in the northern Arabian Sea in less than 22 minutes after impact. The crew abandons ship. The IRGC Navy's most advanced sea-based launch platform, the product of years of conversion, commissioning, and doctrinal development, is on the bottom of the ocean. 2 Tomahawk missiles, 1 ship, 43 minutes from drone attack to sunken carrier. The accounting is stark and unambiguous. Here is the ratio that defines everything. For every dollar the Preble spent using her HELIOS laser to kill a Shahed drone, Iran spent at least $20,000 building it. Iran fired 67 drones, roughly $3.35 million in total inventory at minimum cost estimates. The HELIOS destroyed an estimated 31 of them directly, at an energy cost that defense analysts calculate at under $300 total in electrical expenditure. The CRAM fired 9 RIM-116 missiles at the most dangerous targets, $8.1 million in interceptors, but against a $3.35 million swarm that sank a ship worth hundreds of millions. The net exchange favors the Preble so completely that the comparison barely holds as analysis. For every expensive countermeasure Iran forced the Preble to spend, the laser absorbed 31 of its 67 drones, at a cost hat rounds to zero. The economic warfare model, the entire foundation of the magazine exhaustion doctrine, collapsed the moment HELIOS fired its first beam. The 9 minutes aboard the USS Preble settle something that doctrine experts have debated for years. Whether directed energy weapons are ready for the unpredictable conditions of real naval combat, the electromagnetic interference, the sea spray, the thermal blooming of humid air over warm water, or whether they remain a laboratory capability that performs in tests and fails in battle. This scenario answers that question, not with analysis but with 67 drone-shaped pieces of evidence scattered across the northern Arabian Sea. Iran built its swarm doctrine in a world where every missile defense required a missile. That world ended. The Preble's engagement didn't just defeat 67 drones, it rendered the entire doctrine that launched them strategically obsolete in 9 minutes and 56 seconds. Every Navy watching this scenario, and they are all watching, now faces the same calculation. Is your swarm strategy built for the post-LAS or world? Because the gap between a $9 laser kill and a $900,000 missile kill doesn't close with more drones. It widens, indefinitely. The predator that stalked the Preble never understood what it was hunting. What it found was not a ship at the end of its magazine. It found a ship that had barely started. Could this scenario actually happen? Given that the HELIOS system is real, the Shahed Bagheri was real, and the Shahed swarm doctrine is something Iranian forces deployed in combat during 2026, the technology exists on both sides today, right now. Let me know in the comments whether you think the laser era has actually arrived, or whether you see limitations this scenario didn't account for. Subscribe for more breakdowns of the weapons and doctrines reshaping modern warfare, because this is a conversation that's only beginning.